Chris Wallace decides that he's going to say the exact opposite about the Republicans. So it's this conversation that he's having with Representative Jim Banks, where they're talking about this ridiculous COVID bill that they were trying to pass. And he basically tries to say that Republicans are actually the ones trying to defund the police.
But Congressman Banks, let me push back on that a little bit, because in the program that he announced this week, the president said that the central part of his anti-crime package is the $350 billion in the American Rescue Plan, the COVID relief plan that was passed. Take a look at what the president said.
It means more police officers, more nurses, more counselors, more social workers, more community violence interrupters to help resolve issues before they escalate into crimes.
Congressman Banks, you voted against that package, against that $350 billion, just like every other Republican in the House and Senate. So can't you make the argument that it's you and the Republicans who are defunding the police?
Not at all, Chris. I mean, let's go back again and look at the last year and the record of comments that Democrats have made, from Rashida Tlaib, who said that policing is inherently evil.
Wait, sir, respectfully, I heard you make that point, but I'm asking you, there's $350 billion in this package the president says can be used for policing. And let me put up some of the specific things he said.
The point that I'm making is important.
Congressman Banks, let me finish, and then I promise I'll give you a chance to answer. The president is saying cities and states can use this money to hire more police officers, invest in new technologies, and develop summer job training and recreation programs for young people. Respectfully, I've heard your point about the last year, but you and every other Republican voted against this $350 billion.
So first of all, besides Chris Wallace being out of his mind, the thing that he's not even talking about is that the bill was actually trying to just put money in these Democrat-run cities' pockets for community policing. What is community policing, you might ask? That's a great question. Because community policing is basically this big joke that the Democrats, for some reason, decide to take seriously, where they say that, hey, you just need people in the community that decide that they're going to step up and just be aware of what's going on. These are the same people that have been making these arguments saying, well, if somebody's robbing a house, just let them. They may need those goods. Because why cause the conflict in the first place? These are the community police people that everybody can band together to stop the crime or something in some area. Meanwhile, ignoring the idea that it's typically the community that is robbing its own community. Especially when you're talking about in the black neighborhoods where the crime rate is very high. It's the community that is the problem. You need a solution that is outside of the community to fix that problem, which would be police officers. Newsflash, but they, of course, aren't worried about all of that. They're focused on this idea of just trying to get rid of the police officers and trying to get this community involved in it somehow. Now, this has never been proven to work. On paper, it doesn't work. It's just, if you say it enough on Twitter, then anybody that's a Democrat basically assumes that it's somehow going to work, even though it won't. But the thing is that they're talking about giving money to these cities for that. That's defunding the police. That's not funding the police. So when Biden's sitting there saying, more police, more of this, they could use that. They could use the money for that, but they're not going to. The very people that live in those areas know better. And they're saying, you know what? The person that's the governor in this state or whatever, they don't value the police. They know that. They're probably on Twitter with their own accounts basically talking about how bad the police are, siding with every Democrat policy for that kind of stuff. The people that are there, their constituents, know this, and the crime rates rise. That's why it's so high, because the officials in the area have said, yes, BLM, 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 police bad, police bad, police bad. They say the same thing, and then as a result, the criminals aren't that dumb, and they say, well, hey, it looks like we can get away with whatever we want, and they do whatever they want. This money, there's no guarantee that that money is going to go to policing, and I can assure you that it will not go towards policing. It just won't, which is ridiculous that Biden is assuming that that would be the case, but it won't be happening at all. But that's why Democrat cities have the worst crime. That's why it's the case. So it doesn't mean that Republicans are against funding police. That's not what this is about. It's about him voting and them voting against this ridiculous bill that's doing nothing but bailing out Democrat-run cities again, and then also trying to give them more money and assuming that they're going to use it the right way, and then calling it that Republicans are trying to defund police. Sure. Maybe if the people that are actually in those areas respected the police, actually made statements in support of the police, then maybe that might be the case. But that's not what's happening. So it's just ridiculous. Chris Wallace trying to say whatever he can to try and flip the narrative, but it won't work. You just watched a clip from the William Hall Show. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.